Buddy, today we're going to do a deep dive into ethical issues and the use of technology. All right, so repeat after me. Engineers in the fulfillment of their professional duties shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public, perform services only in areas of their competence, issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner, act for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees, avoid deceptive acts, conduct themselves honorably, responsibly, ethically, and lawfully so as to enhance the honor, reputation, and usefulness of the profession. All right, so as technology becomes increasingly integrated into our daily lives, it brings with it a host of ethical dilemmas, from concerns about privacy and surveillance to environmental impact of e-waste. It's crucial for us to understand and navigate these issues responsibly. Today's lessons aim to delve deep into these challenges, fostering a space for critical discussion and reflection. All right. Okay. So, common ethical issues in technology are privacy. There's a digital divide because not everybody has access to it. There's an impact on society, and there is an environmental piece to this that people kind of always forget about. Um, so, my wife and I, at one point in time, spoke to our son about birds. My son really wanted a parrot, and my wife and I were having none of it. We had no interest in getting a parrot, but we didn't mind getting a, a birdhouse. And my in-laws have birdhouses. And so my son kept asking, what do they eat? Could we get parrots? Aren't, Grandma and Papa have Kiwi and Buddy, and they're parakeets, and they're cute, and da 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 da. And this conversation went on for a while. And ultimately, we were just like, we're not getting a bird, deal with it. But as soon as I went and putzed around on the internet, I saw a ton of ads for bird seed. The thing is, I never Googled birds. I never had any interest in birds, and like birds are cool and stuff, but I was never motivated to do anything about it. And now I'm getting all these ads for birdseed. Why am I getting ads for birdseed? Well, I found out later that our Alexa was listening to us. It kept hearing us talk about birds, and it made the connection that we might be getting a bird and therefore might want birdseed. And I was getting advertisement for birdhouses because we actually said out loud we might get a birdhouse. And this is a form of targeted advertisement. Um, and so there's a discussion here, and different people have different assessments about the how ethical this is, right? Is an Alexa or whatever your preference is. Some people use Google. There's an Apple variant too. Of is this ethical? Is it ethical for these devices to be listening to us all of the time? And further, if it records you doing something, who's it allowed to share that information with? Um, at this point, I want you to stop, think, write a response. If you're at home, you don't need to respond to every individual thing in an individual email. You can save your responses for one long email if you want. So in the novel 1984, there's this omniscient big brother watching over the citizens of Oceania, monitoring their every move and thought. It's a world where privacy is a myth, and the mere act of thinking against the party can be a crime. Now, in the book, there's literally a recording device in every house watching you, surveilling you, checking to see if you're doing something evil against the community. I'll draw a parallel there to our world today. Every time we browse the internet, use a smartphone, or even walk past a CCTV camera, data is being collected about us. But who's gathering this information? And what are they going to use that information to? Like, what are they going to do with it? Um, Just as the party in 1984 used the surveillance to maintain control, today's entities might use our data in ways we don't fully comprehend. The concept of surveillance in 1984 is overt. It's in your face. With every recording device, there's a watcher, and they report everything to Big Brother. In our world, it's more subtle, but it's worse. They collect little bits of information, but you'd be surprised how accurate that information is with that tiny bit of information. Our devices, our apps, and even some of our household appliances can monitor our actions, often without our explicit knowledge. So I was telling you last class, my TV and my dryer talk to each other. Now, I don't know exactly what those two pieces of information are sharing with what they're connected to, but they're definitely aware that I'm at home. They know I'm doing laundry. If I'm doing laundry, they know I'm going to want to buy laundry detergent, and things like that. Is that necessarily bad? I don't know. But could it get worse? And this brings us to a matter of consent. In 1984, in Orwell's dystopia, consent isn't a consideration. The party imposes its will. It just invades your house. You don't have an option to have privacy. But in our society, we often click agree on terms and conditions without a second thought. Do we genuinely understand the depth and breadth of the data we're sharing? Or like Winston Smith, are we unwittingly surrendering our autonomy one bite at a time? So here's another situation where I want your opinion. Have we genuinely consented to this data collection? Some might argue for some of our devices to work at all, they have to be listening all of the time. But if they have to be listening all of the time, do they have to save the transcripts? Once they have the information they need, shouldn't they be able to delete the transcript? And, all right, say maybe they do have some justification to keep the transcript. Is that really a form of surveillance on us? And at what point is this no longer consent? Yes, we technically say agree on all of our devices when we go use them, but how much of their request for data is because they need it for the device to work, and how much of it is because they want to know more about you? So there is this digital divide. Um, so in the book The Brave New World, the citizens were divided into castes, from highly intelligent alphas to labor-intensive epsilons. Each caste had a predetermined role, and technology played a pivotal part in maintaining the society structure. Now, in Huxley's world, technology wasn't just about gadgets or machines, it was about access to experiences. The feelies, for instance, were movies that one could experience with all senses, like VR. But not everyone had the same access. While alphas and betas enjoyed the most advanced forms of entertainment and comfort, the lower castes were pacified with simpler pleasures, like a drug called soma. This ensured that each caste remained content with their lot, never aspiring for more or questioning their place in society. But there was a societal disparity here. The world state motto was community, identity, stability. Technology was the linchpin that held this motto in place. By controlling access to technology, the state ensured that socioeconomic disparities were not just maintained, but institutionalized. The alphas were given the best education and tools to innovate and lead, while epsilons were conditioned to be content with menial tasks. This technological divide ensured that the societal hierarchy remained unchallenged. And this led to global inequity. Outside the boundaries of the world state lay the savage reservations. These were areas untouched by the state's technological advancements. Inhabitants of the reservations lived primitively without the comforts and controls of the world state. The stark contrast between the technological advanced world state and the primitive reservations highlighted the global inequalities. It served as a reminder of what the world could regress to without the benefits of the state's control. Reflecting on this, it's hard not to draw parallels with our world today. As technology advances at a breakneck pace, we must ask ourselves, who gets access? How does it shape our socioeconomic landscape, and as some regions surge ahead in the digital race, what happens to those left behind? All right, impact on society. So job displacement. Well, in Skynet, or in Terminator, Skynet, an AI system becomes self-aware and sees humanity as a threat, leading to a future where machines wage war against their creators. While the idea of robots leading an uprising might seem far-fetched, the underlying concern is real. As automation and AI become more sophisticated, there's a growing anxiety about machines replacing human jobs. Will we reach a point where our own creations render us obsolete in the workforce? If you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have told you, for the most part, engineers are safe. I don't think that's true anymore. I don't think a lot of what we do is that unique that we can't be replaced. Look, let's be honest with each other. A lot of our inherent value isn't just being able to solve problems. Yes, that's great for academia. In academia, engineers are going to be fine. But in the real world, when you design bridges, people don't want a new bridge design. They want the bridge design that worked last time. And we have software that does that. And so a lot of what engineers do day to day is getting redundant. It's getting replaced by computers. And the thing is, we're going to reach a point where it starts encroaching on academia too. Yeah, there's a big pushback by academia, but I think that's just a temporary problem. I don't think that's a permanent solution. Next is social interactions. So if you think about the Matrix, it presented a world where humans are imprisoned in a simulated reality. Their minds are trapped while their bodies are used as an energy source. This grim scenario made me ponder our current relationship with technology. With the rise of virtual realities and social media platforms, are we slowly drifting away from genuine human interactions? Are we, in a way, getting ensnared in our own versions of the Matrix, preferring digital interactions over real-world connections? So I know my wife got quite mad at me during COVID. Um, so my wife and I, for the most part, we are introverts. We don't particularly like going to parties. We don't like going to big crowds. But I'm definitely more of an introvert than she is. And so when we were told, hey, you can't go anywhere, you have to stay inside, I didn't mind it at all. I stayed home and I played video games. It's great for me. I could still talk to my friends online. I could do whatever I needed to do behind a computer or behind a screen. But that wasn't my wife. She wanted to go out. And granted, she was still an introvert, but she still wanted to go do things. And so, are we getting addicted to these machines? Are we losing touch of what it's like to be human because of how connected we are? And the last is mental health. Both movies touch on the psychological impact of a world dominated by machines. Now, at one extreme, in The Terminator, the survivors grapple with the trauma of post-apocalyptic war. Literally, the machines try to exterminate them. In The Matrix, those freed from the simulation struggle with the harsh truths of reality. They can't live without the machines, as much as they would love to. Drawing a parallel to today, one has to wonder, how is our constant connectivity, our incessant need to be online affecting our mental well-being? Are we equipped to handle the blurring lines between reality and the digital realm? As the debate wound down, a friend of mine remarked, "These movies aren't just entertainment, they're cautionary tales." And he was right. While Terminator and The Matrix are these thrilling narratives, going to extremes, being dramatic, they also serve as a reflection on our relationship with technology. As we navigate this digital age, it's crucial to remember that the human element, ensuring that, sorry, as we navigate this digital age, it's crucial to remember the human element, ensuring that we use technology to enhance our lives, not dictate it. Then there's an environmental impact we need to discuss. E-waste! If you haven't seen the film or series Mad Max, strongly recommend you do. It's a dystopian tale set in a post-apocalyptic world where society has collapsed, resources are scarce, and survival is the only goal. The desolate landscape and relentless battles for fuel in the movies serve as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of our current trajectory, especially when it comes to technology and sustainability. In the world of Mad Max, remnants of the old world are scattered across the wasteland. Rusted vehicles, dilapidated structures, and discarded machinery. It's eerily reminiscent of the growing graveyards of electronic waste we see today. As we continually upgrade to latest devices, our old gadgets often end up in landfills, leaching harmful chemicals into the soil and water. If left unchecked, our world could soon resemble the barren landscape of Mad Max, where the sins of our past haunt the present. Now, there's an energy consumption issue here. The central theme of Mad Max revolves around the desperate quest for fuel, gasoline, a dwindling resource in their world. It's a chilling reflection on the insatiable appetite for energy. Our modern devices, while sleek and efficient, still draw power from grids that are largely reliant on non-renewable resources. If we don't transition to sustainable energy solutions, we might find ourselves like the character in Mad Max, fighting over the last drops of fuel. Really, we should try to find some sustainable solutions. In the harsh world of Mad Max, there's little regard for sustainability. It's a world of take, use, and discard. As I watched the characters navigate their hostile environment, I couldn't help but wonder, are today's tech companies doing enough to prevent such a future? Are they designing products with longevity in mind, reducing waste, and using sustainable materials? The Mad Max series, while a work of fiction, offers a window into a potential future where neglect of sustainability has dire consequences. It's a call to action for all of us, especially those in the tech industry, to prioritize the planet and ensure that our technological advancements don't come at the cost of the world's well-being. All right, so we're going to do a case. If you're at home, I do request that you go back in the previous slides and answer the questions. And answer the questions moving forward. There's a character named Willy Loman. Willy, a traveling salesman from the 1930s, carried with him a suitcase filled with tangible products representing his life's work and identity. His world was one of face-to-face interactions, physical records, and a clear distinction between personal and professional lives. In Willy's time, the primary means of understanding a person's life or habits was through tangible evidence and personal interactions. The government and businesses collected data mainly through census, survey, and manual records. Surveillance, if it existed at all, was in the form of a detective tailing someone or neighbors eavesdropping on one another. Willy's struggles, dreams, and disappointments remained largely private, known only to those he chose to share with them. Fast forward to today, and the contrast couldn't be starker. Unlike Willy's suitcase, which contained physical products, our modern suitcases are digital, filled with bytes of data that paint a comprehensive picture of our lives. Every online search, purchase, message, and even our location is continually recorded, analyzed, and often sold to the highest bidder. Surveillance isn't just a detective following us, it's facial recognition cameras on street corners, digital assistants in our homes listening to our conversations, and algorithms predicting our next move. While Willy Loman's world had its own challenges, there are certain simplicities and privacies to it. Today, the lines between personal and private and shared and blurred are blurred. As we navigate this digital age, it's essential to reflect on the trade-offs we make for convenience and connectivity. Just as Willie grappled with his identity and worth in a changing world, we too must confront the implications of our digital existence and the footprint we leave behind. So based off of this, just looking at the privacy scenario, can you see yourself preferring the life in the 1930s to the 2030s? I want you to think about this answer. I want a response. This class isn't going to be long today, so I better get responses if you're not in class today. Talking about the digital divide. So in Willy Loman's world, where his aspirations and struggles are tangible, it's also set in the 1930s. Willie's dreams are not of high-speed internet or the latest gadgets, but of owning a house with modern amenities, ensuring his family's upward mobility. Willie's New York City home boasted a rotary telephone, a symbol of modernity and connection to the broader world. Yet this was a luxury many in rural areas couldn't fathom. The divide of the era was stark. While urban households like the Lomans might have had electricity and telephone service, many rural homes were still lit by candlelight. With news traveling by word of mouth or the occasional radio broadcast. The aspiration of the time was grounded in the basic amenities which represented progress and a better life. Fast forward a century, and the symbols of progress have shifted dramatically. Today, the Loman family's descendants might be debating the merits of 5G connectivity or the latest smartphone device. The modern divide isn't just about having a phone, it's about the speed of your internet connection, the model of your smartphone, the access to cutting-edge software. And this disparity isn't just domestic. While cities in developed nations are hubs of technological innovation, many regions in developing countries are still striving for consistent, basic internet access. Willy Loman's dreams were rooted in the tangible, a home, a refrigerator, steady job. Today's aspirations, while seemingly more abstract, are no less significant. They represent our desire to connect, to be part of the global conversation, and to ensure that no one is left behind in the digital age. As we reflect on the technological disparities of our time, it's worth remembering that at the heart of all of this is a universal human desire to provide a better future for the next generation. When just talking about the digital divide, or the technological divide, would you rather exist in the 1930s or the 2030s? All right, impact on society. The 1930s was a decade of transformation. The once agrarian landscapes, were now dotted with factories, and cities became the epicenter of dreams and opportunity. Willie, a traveling salesman, was a product of this shift. He traveled the urban landscape, selling his wares. He was also selling a dream, the American dream. At home, the Loman family would gather around the radio, their primary source of entertainment, listening to news broadcasts, dramas, and music. It was a simpler time, where cinema reels and radio waves were the gateway to the world beyond. Fast forward to the present day, and the landscape of dreams and aspirations has undergone another seismic shift. The factories of Willie's time are now automated, with the machines and AI systems performing tasks that once required humans.